Hello and welcome to the Pregnancy Playbook podcast. I'm Amy Strongman, your host, and I'm extremely passionate about this stage of womanhood. So whether you're just thinking about starting a family or in the early realms of motherhood, this is a space for you. We'll be talking all things preconception, pregnancy, birth, and beyond. Each episode, I'll be sitting down with some amazing guests, sharing insights, experiences, expertise, and much, much more. So whether we are debusting some myths or learning something new, this space is for you. We really want this stage of womanhood to feel like a little less overwhelming and a lot more magical. This is maternal alchemy, and this transformational stage of womanhood, it's at its best. So let's put the kettle on, grab a cuppa, and let's join us, and let's get started. And welcome. Today I am joined by the incredible Sam Hall, aka DJ Goldierocks, and my longtime friend of 20 years, which means we've known each other longer than we haven't, which is amazing. And we are going to be talking all about the power of sound and its healing properties and really what it means to connect to something perhaps a little bit bigger than ourselves. So Sam is a DJ, a global DJ, superstar DJ, broadcaster, founder of the IO project, and mum to gorgeous Rex, who I am very lucky to say that I have a beautiful relationship with, having been there for some ceremonies and at his naming day, which was truly a very special time in my life. And Sam has done so many things, from DJing at the London 2012 Olympics, hosting so many festivals, DJing amazing sets all over the world. And she really does bring the power of sound to her craft, and now is embarking on working with mothers, which I think we're going to look into a little bit today. So Sam, welcome to the Pregnancy Podcast. I am so glad it's you that's here today with me, starting this wonderful venture. You're so welcome. I've known you for a long time, and I know music has always been a part of your life. How have you gone from the decks to deep healing? And maybe you could just share a little bit about your story.
Oh, yeah. Hello, darling. Very excited to be here.
Thank you.
Yes, so Goldierocks created when I was at university, which means I've been Goldierocks for 20 years, which is just wild because I don't feel that ancient yet.
We're not.
DJing has been an incredible career. I must stress as well, I do still DJ. We'll be touring this festival season, and I do still play internationally. But there has been a slight pivot to my career and where it's going and the new direction. And I'm enjoying the balance of doing both things. But yeah, essentially, I was DJing a lot, like peak touring season, always living out of a suitcase, whizzing around the world. And it was exhilarating and incredible. And I got to see the world. I got to travel. I got to have all these amazing experiences. But the offhand of that, it's a very lonely life. You're always on your own, 3 a.m., a little bit wasted in hotel rooms around the world. It can be really, really lonely. It can be utterly exhausting. And it got to a point where I was doing 3 radio shows for different stations. And so I'd be recording a radio show sort of like Monday to Wednesday, and that was like an office job. And then Friday night, I'd do a late night show. But then essentially it got to the point where like every week I was kind of up solidly for 26 hours. And then you DJ frenetically all over the place over the weekend and try and travel on your own. And I was just utterly burnt out.
Exhausted, I bet.
Exhausted. And no amount of ambition or wanting it or hustling harder or all of the sort of like message, LA kind of like hustle harder messaging could bring me out of this pit. And I was so sad. I was so miserable. I was exhausted. And I was just like, right, what is going to make me feel better? Because I think I'm just going to have to retire and hang up my headphones. And it's been a good run. I've had some great adventures. I've DJ'd for the Queen. Maybe I can retire and do something else. And but I didn't want to. And really, I would have thrown the kitchen sink at it. I tried everything. Therapy, mushroom ceremonies, CBD, I tried truly everything. And the thing that really, really resonated was sound healing or sound meditation. And I fell in love with it, how it affected you so instantly, how it's accessible. You know, there's so many pre-recorded sound meditations. You can listen anywhere at any time of day. People don't need to know what you're doing. And I was just like, of course sound has been my salvation. Of course it has. And I fell in love with it and trained in sound meditation and sound healing, how to be an instructor. Thought it would never see the light of day. 3 months later, the UK was in a lockdown and we were in a national pandemic. And funnily enough, people didn't really need DJs. And so I started hosting virtual sessions for free. And it just took off. Thousands and thousands of people were tuning in all over the world to listen to these sound meditations. And the way we do it with our project is a little bit different, but I'll talk to you about that later. And it just, and it took off and it saw the light of day, and now it's quite a public, lovely thing.
And it's so accessible. And I think for those who don't know, I guess we can talk a little bit about what is a sound healing? What is a sound bath? What is a gong? There's so many kind of terminologies that not lots of people know. But I'm just interested, what for you, was it a point, because remind me, Rex wasn't born during lockdown. So you were kind of starting that journey before you crossed the threshold into motherhood. Have you seen it kind of impact you even more so now you've become a mother? For those who are listening, this kind of tapping into something, I mean, it resets you, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, I think, so firstly, gong baths, sound meditation, sound therapy, sound healing.
Yeah.
It all seems like quite a new and in vogue thing. But in fact, sound, and specifically gongs and specifically Tibetan singing bowls, have been used for thousands and thousands of years to help aid meditation practice, to help people meditate more deeply.
It's ancient.
It is ancient. And why this matters more than ever is that we're in such an overstimulated society, always rushing from one thing to another, lots of tech use, that kind of thing. So really, we should be trying to meditate every single day. Now, if you're like me, I really struggle to meditate in a traditional way, especially when I really need it.
I'm a yogi and I find it really hard. I always say my movement is my medicine. Like the moving for me is a type of meditation, but to sit still can be really difficult to do. So
really, and it's always the people that really, really need it in that moment of stress. You're like, I just need to meditate, and that's why I find sound so transformative, because it's this really incredibly powerful, incredibly efficient tool to get you to that sweet spot of meditation more deeply and more efficiently. So there is a science behind the instruments we use, but we'll talk about that momentarily. But why I really fell in love with it was that meditative tool, and just how much lighter you feel. And in regards to it being part of my sort of motherhood journey, I mean, it was an absolute key in letting me soften and getting to that place of surrender. And I think being truthful about how you really want to live. I've always lived authentically. It's something I really pride myself on. We could go do a really deep dive there, but it's like I really pride myself on that. But it's a pivot, and becoming a mother even thinking about motherhood is a pivot from DJing in clubs at 3 a.m.
So I was just going to say, talking of that pivot, what is amazing to me, and I just think it is such a unique experience, is the fact that you were DJing with your growing little Rex inside. And the reason why I think it's so unique is I went on a course last year learning about the kind of the alchemy of kind of this change of the seasons and how life is within all these cycles. And actually the vibration, which obviously we know is sound, that is the first thing a baby feels at 18 weeks. And they can hear your heartbeat, and it's soft rhythms and soft sounds, but it's the vibration that really is exciting. And I was reading as well about how bees, the vibration of their wings actually create the shape of their honeycomb. And I was just like,
amazing.
Everything comes back to that kind of movement, that little shake, that little shuffle. So I just want to know, and maybe our listeners will too, will be what did it feel like to be DJing? And obviously with other people's thoughts and views on how, should you be doing that? Shouldn't you be doing that? I'd be really interested to hear.
Yeah, I mean, the other people's views, I think, was the thing that I found most stressful. So I kept my pregnancy a secret, essentially. And it wasn't a secret. I mean, if you looked on the screens, you could see I was pregnant. But it was, I didn't announce it per se. Yeah. I just didn't, I was trying to figure out how I felt about this experience and the journey of motherhood, and also being on tour, being pregnant. And I just didn't want anyone else's opinions that I didn't value in in the bubble. So I cared what my husband thought, I cared what I thought, and the people that I was working with as well. And I was really, really lucky to have the most beautiful, supportive team. So I do this tour called Classic Ibiza, which is me and this 32-piece orchestra. So when you're talking about a wall of sound, I mean, it is a wall of sound. It's like
Coming at
DJing.
you.
Yeah, it's like DJing inside a rocket ship. It's
Wow.
wild, but beautiful. And it's an intense show. Like, I'm on stage for 5 hours under hot lights. It's really intense. And I'm known for my very physical performances. So normally, like, jumping up and down and being a bit of a hedonist. And I mean, the amount of DJ injuries I've had over the years from like crowd surfing and just breaking my ankle in the desert. And anyway, I digress. But I think I made a really sort of early call that I wanted to try and tour for as long as I felt comfortable. I mean, the last couple of shows of the tour, I DJed till I was 32 weeks.
I was going to say, I
which
remember
is
it being
really,
long.
that is not a small bump. That is a significant bump.
Yes.
And the promoters actually had a midwife on site, but they didn't tell me, just in case of emergencies,
Wow.
which just shows you how much how lovely they are. And really, I think the thing I cared about a lot was potential sound damage to the baby. So I DJ'd on tour without any monitors, because normally the monitors would be exactly at bump height. So I only used my headphones.
Yeah.
And a lot of DJs I know, female DJs, when they are expecting, choose not to tour for that reason, that they find there's so little control over the environment. I stopped doing club shows. So I didn't do club shows because I didn't want drunk people bumping into me, or I just wanted to be a bit in control of the amount of sound that the bump was being exposed to.
You made decisions that you felt were right, yes.
And there was still a lot of background sound. You're on this stage, but I was confident that it wasn't going to do him any harm. Yeah. And really, I was very physical on top and then like really still on the bottom. So he was getting like a rhythm and a movement. And I had like this bump support belt that kind of made things feel a little bit secure. But it was almost the opposite of a duck. So all like party on top and then still on the bottom instead of like the paddling duck feet.
Upside down swan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thank you. That's a more graceful way of putting it. Yeah, and it was great because I clung on to me for as long as I could. And also, I mean, financially as well, like there was no chance of me touring when I was a new mom. That's a very hard thing to do. So, and statutory maternity pay for self-employed people is awful. So as well, just being able to earn and feel confident that I had my little nest egg going into this journey as well was really important to me.
Oh, it's honestly, it's so unique. And I think it's great to be able to sort of talk about how you can make choices and still be you, because that sense of identity, it does shift hugely when you become a mother. And it's like a relearning of, you know, it hasn't changed who you are. There's just another facet that's been revealed, or like another little bit of the diamond that's been rubbed away, I like to think of it. But, you know, you're still you. And actually how great that you were able to create that space to continue and do what you love, which is so, so important. And I think, don't you think, I don't know, this is just me, but I think we underestimate as well this power of sound. Like you talking about having those monitors. I mean, how many people would, I don't know, I wouldn't have even thought about that you're kind of literally surrounded by the vibrations when you're on stage. I mean, I know it's pumped out to the audience, but actually I didn't even consider that it was so close, and actually wrecked the idea of him just having a boogie, feeling it inside is just amazing.
Because I used to panic and I was just like, oh God, he stopped kicking and he stopped moving. And my midwife like, he's probably gone to sleep, because it's just sort of like, you know, the rocking, the swaying bottom, the shaking of the bottom and the rocking. It's just, he goes to sleep. And even now he finds house music really relaxing.
But it is the rhythm, and I think we can talk about that as well in the idea of the sound, but the rhythm of it. I mean, there's so many cultures use rhythm actually in labour and as a soothing companion. And I'd love for you to talk about actually how sound can be in that sense, that healing, that kind of, you know, anything like when we hear music that we haven't heard for in ages, or we share, or do you remember that nightclub sound when you were, you know, there's something that you just brings you together, a real kind of connection. And I just love you to talk about how maybe your sound healing at the moment with sound meditations, where you see that. You know, do you see that with the mothers that perhaps you are?
I mean,
sharing?
I think sound and music is such a universal language, and it brings everyone around the world together. Everyone listens to music. Even sort of tribes deep in the Amazon will like tap sticks together and sing and hum together. And I mean, and humming is a form of sound therapy. A cat's purr is 50 hertz, which is believed to like soothe your soul and heal bones. I mean, there is sound and vibration all around us. And I just think it's learning to harness it and really pay attention and have an awareness of it to sort of use it for your benefit.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that they listen to that song from university and they're emotionally drawn back, or you know how sound is used so carefully in like fancy spas and 5-star hotels and that sort of thing. And it makes you spend more money, or it can suddenly surrender you to a moment of relaxation. It's an incredibly emotive, powerful tool.
Yes.
And I think with mummies to be, it's learning to use that to your advantage. So if that's I mean, I know one friend that like gave birth and she was listening to Spice Girls and NSYNC, and I wouldn't dream of listening to that giving birth. I couldn't think of anything that's the opposite of what I personally needed, but she needed that power and that energy and that joy. From a sound healing perspective, there's a whole spectrum of sounds and what can soothe you and what can help. So I listen to a lot of playlists set to 432 hertz, which is considered like the ultimate healing frequency and is also an amazing frequency for sleep.
Oh,
yeah. So, I mean, Rex listened to that constantly when he was a newborn. I was like, hush, little darling, hush. But just almost as a drone on in the background. So it's just very quiet, just like having the radio on, but just 432 hertz. And it just lowers your cortisol levels and makes you feel relaxed.
I wonder if that's like your heart chakra. I wonder if it's, because I know there's some that you can link, just thinking of the yoga, that idea of just tapping into something. But I also, for some of my women clients, that we talk about having 2 playlists, because for that reason, sometimes you do need that little boost of energy. But how nice to be able to just put something on and know that it will instantly kind of tap into another level. And I mean, what does it do to the nervous system? Can you explain a little bit more about how? Because I think in pregnancy, like you were saying, there's so much noise, actually, ironically, and so much noise, but not the kind that we want. And it's quite hard to sort of step away and find out. I mean, I'm always talking about like, your intuition and listening, and I do think music can help you get to that point when you're sort of starting to begin to cultivate a self-trust. So just maybe how you feel that, or can you explain how the nervous system is touched upon maybe with that?
With sound? Yeah, so with sound healing, I don't like the term sound healing.
I know you don't.
No, because I was just like,
sorry,
no, it's fine. The reason why I don't like the term sound healing is because I feel that it makes the practitioner as if they're this voodoo healer, like shaking their rattle. And it's not. Like, the power of sound is in you, and it's your body and it's your mind, and you're healing yourself. The gong doesn't have some magic vibrational powers. It's yourself in your healing. And so that's why I try and stay away from the term sound healer, and I prefer sound meditation. But sound healer is the correct term, Amy, so don't worry about that too much. But
we know it heals. It does good.
It does heal.
I hear what you're saying.
It does heal, but you heal yourself.
Yes.
But really what we're trying to achieve when you go to a sound bath or a sound meditation session is theta waves, and it's the one below delta. So the one just before you sleep, it's the brain waves that you create when you meditate. And when you're in a live situation and the vibrations and the instruments are actually there, they're stimulating your cells in your body and in your mind to relax, essentially, and get into that gorgeous state. And your cortisol levels go way down. If you're doing manual work, you can actually stimulate the vagus nerve, which is just like this powerful nerve that floods through your entire body and is responsible for your stress response. You're kind of getting into the opposite of fight or flight, essentially. And it's really, really powerful. And this isn't woo-woo made up. You know, they've studied people in MRI scans. There's actually been quite a lot of science on it.
And it's how hypnobirthing works as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's the same idea of getting into that state.
Do you want to know a nasty fact?
Do.
But that's quite cool. So Hitler, I love that I'm on a podcast about mums, and I'm like, so let's talk about Hitler. But Hitler used to play, and I don't know what hertz it is, and I'm kind of glad I don't know, but he used to basically push out vibrations into the crowd, and this is in the history books, that would make the crowd feel anxious and uncomfortable. And then when he had stepped on stage, they'd stop the vibrations and they'd go, oh, it has made me feel better, and like that instant sense of
Wow.
relief and comfort. And that's how powerful vibrations and sound and hertz are on the body and mind. It's incredible.
That is quite
It's wild.
I don't know how to describe that fact, but I can see it being that sense of, yeah, you know, when you hear those jarring sounds, wherever you are, it makes you feel uncomfortable. It's sort of on a cellular level, it's really affecting you.
And there's a lot of uncomfortable sounds when you've just had a baby.
Yes.
And there can be a lot of uncomfortable sounds in the process of birthing as well, especially if you end up with quite a medicalized birth like I had. And, you know, I don't want to frighten any new mums or expecting mamas, but it's like I ended up having a very medicalized birth. And it was the sounds of the hospital that made me feel actually so uncomfortable, because it took me out of my little like love bubble. And so I had my headphones on the whole time while we were waiting, like right up to the moment I went into theatre, and just had all, you know, try and control your environment in that sense as much as you can. And in the days after Rex was born,
she still had them on.
Well, we did. We were very, very lucky enough to have a private room afterwards, and we just had Tibetan chanting on the whole time. And the nurses and the midwives would come in and be like, what is that sound at 4 a.m? And my husband's like, it's the Tibetan chanting, you can't turn it off. But it was just a constant comfort, and it just made me feel some level of control and some level of peace. And even now, Rex recognises the sound of shanty chimes, and his little eyes light up. And it's
so powerful. I mean, I see it all the time, my yoga sessions with mum and babies with my water chime. And they do. There's something about just hearing something that is, I don't know, it does instantly touches them. But you talking about the chanting, I mean, chanting, affirmations, humming, like these are all tools that we use, or I certainly teach for preparing for birth, because they're, like you say, all things that you can do. You can make your own sounds. And I teach a GAH sound, which is GAH for anyone listening, of one of the yoga sounds, because it literally opens the channel right down. So the music or the vibration, literally, it feels so deep, but you're like opening. It's honestly, we won't try it now, but if you do want to try it at home, you can. But it just releases the jaw, which obviously then in turn relaxes the cervix. So it's such a great tool to be able to tap into. And thinking of that, of like chanting, you know, the idea of ritual and music and instruments. So here we go into this idea of the textures of sound. Do you have a particular favourite sound that you have used throughout your pregnancy and motherhood, or perhaps a particular instrument that you see maybe the most change?
So I think there's sort of two sides to that. So I mean, me personally, shanty chimes, they're these beautiful little metal chimes, and it has a glass chime in the middle, sort of like pinging off these metal strands, and it is the most beautiful, soothing, fairy-like twinkle of a sound. And if you've been to a sound bath in real life, they nearly always have them at the end of the session, and you sort of come back from the intensity and the deepness of the gong, and then it's like this it's kind of like this cathartic release, this lightness. Yeah. And lots of yogis use them at the end of sessions, and I had one in hospital with me actually, and I just find it such a soothing, ethereal sound. I use one set to twilight and blue moon because I'm an eternal night owl, you know, like I find the night really comforting and soothing, whereas I find the day a bit daunting and scary sometimes. And magic happens at night time, you know, under the moon. But then I think when I'm holding classes for expecting mamas or mummies and new babies, you've got to be so careful of their little ears. So we will use gongs, but very gently, very, very softly. And I'll work often with a Venus gong, amazing feminine power and energy, or a symphonic gong, which I feel has a sort of more feminine essence and feel. And we'll use flumi work, where it's kind of like this rubber mallet, and you sort of like pull it very gently across the gong. It looks easy. It's so hard. It took me years to learn to do it well. And it's just more like almost a soothing wail sound rather than like a sort of drum roll, which I think is too much for little ears. I will say as well, if there's any expecting mummies, if you do want to experience a sound bath in real life with your bump, go for it. Always say that you're expecting, because of just where you sit in the room. Lots of practitioners prefer not to host style meditations for women under 3 months. But saying that, I mean, just in case, right? It's such a delicate time just because of vibrations and anything.
And I guess that depends on the teacher as well, like who's sharing, what kind of instruments they might be using. Because I do know, I remember going to a gong meditation sound bath in the Natural History Museum. It was my first experience, and it literally felt that there was an aircraft about to land, because the acoustic was so vast and we were just all there. Amazing experience, like totally felt like I'd been shook up like a snow globe, and then everything was like settling. So I felt like it was a good experience, but it was very loud, and I can imagine had I been pregnant at the time, it would have felt very like, I think that was too much sort of thing. So I think knowing what's coming is good.
And what you're saying about intuition as well, listen to yourself, trust your body. Like no practitioner, if you're in the middle of class, be like, actually, this doesn't feel right, I need to get out of here. Then do it. Like, it's like, you know, the experience is for you. Yeah. I mean, I taught gong baths throughout my whole pregnancy, and I found the ritual of doing it and bringing it back to me, because it's something that I do for myself and people, that it gave me purpose, and it gave me a sense of peace, and it gave me a sense of normality, of routine, and that was more important, and I found it more beneficial than not.
That is so important. I think that is that, if anything, is the key, isn't it? Is that if you're doing it for you and it's serving you in a way, then you should do it. And if it isn't, then you just say no. I think finding your voice is important too in those situations.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why I did DJ so long into my pregnancy, is that DJing is so part of my identity and who I am. And I mean, the first DJ set I did after Rex was born was when he was 9 weeks, which in hindsight seems very soon. Oh my goodness. Just let's pop out of this fourth trimester bubble just to do some, you know, DJing in central London.
I actually remember you saying
oh my goodness, bloody, sorry, don't want to swear. But it was, it was a lot.
Early, so soon.
But it actually, I kind of just needed it to be like, oh, there I am. Oh, I'm just not lost in the wilderness. Oh, there I am.
I'm still
and
here.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still here, and that's who I am, and I can be a mother, and you can be both at the same time. Okay, time to go back to the cocoon and be gentle with myself again.
Yes.
So yeah.
It is like, not that you're proving something to yourself, but you still exist. And I think it's very hard, especially in today's culture where we're so busy and we're doing our thing and we're told that, you know, we can do it, to then suddenly have this baby that we're completely responsible for. It's so hard to just suddenly stop like that, because that's all you're doing is feeding a baby. Like, that's all there is to do at that time. But actually you're doing so much more. You just don't know it. You're nurturing, you're growing a baby's brain. There is so much, but you have to have that sense of you, be it whatever you're into, or if it's just, you know, 20 minutes here, or, you know, a DJ gig there, whatever you can find.
So I've because you were just so amazing when I'd had Rex, and I was just lost in this wilderness, and I tried my best. Like, I toured, and then I had a month at home, just like, you know, being a little apple in the garden, just sort of like rolling around, being one with nature, trying to slow down as much as I could, but nothing prepared me for actually the reality of life with a newborn. And it felt so closed. You know, it felt like my world had got so small and so closed, and I was just like, oh my god, like, I love Rex, but what have I done? Like, this, my beautiful expansive open life has become so small. And I remember you coming to my home, and you did the amazing closing of the bone ceremony for me, which was so powerful and so needed. But I remember you saying, this is a time of expansion, and me just being flabbergasted, like, what is she talking about? This is the most small and tiny, and like, my life is in 2 rooms of my house. Like, I barely like get into my own garden. And it's on a quote. I've written it. This is a time for expansion. Make your life unique, and the motherhood, the childhood you're creating is also your motherhood. And it's on a quote, and it's above Rex's nappy change still today. And I look at it every day, just being like, Amy, expansion, open. And it is.
I truly believe it, though. I truly believe that it unlocks something. I talk about it before, but basically, I think when you're growing new life, you're tapping into your sacral chakra. So you're all of this energy of creativity, of joy, of playfulness, of literally where your child is swirling. And then when your baby is born, it's like everything is kind of released. Like, I always think like little stardust bomb, like, pooh, gone. And then it's like, oh my God. And then it's like, oh, you sort of tap into things that you actually love and that you want to explore. And, you know, I never saw myself doing this. And I don't know if you ever saw yourself, taking over an island and doing extra things, which we'll talk about in a minute. But, you can't vision it always. You just have to kind of follow where the path leads.
And the lesson of surrender.
Yes,
the lesson
stopping.
of surrender, that it's like you don't have to have it all figured out.
Yeah.
But trust that it is a really expansive process, and it will open your heart and soul and creative brain and all of these gorgeous little synapses, like firing and connecting.
It's exactly like that.
Even if you're in this intense bit, mama listening at home, trust it just does open, and it's so glorious and so joyful and so full of love.
It's so wonderful. Thank you. Oh gosh, and thank you for sharing that with me. I just never, you never know that your words will hit, but I think the expansiveness is really important to remember. And also when you're new, mum, like you say, being small and in your cocoon, your senses are so heightened. So you're so aware of everything else, or what everyone else is doing, or what you think you should be doing. You're kind of vibrating at that level of like, well, I've got to be doing something. But when you start to soften and you start to go slow, and you remember that it's just about connection, and that when you look into your baby's eyes, they're just seeing you and you are their world, then it kind of just brings it back and then allows you to kind of expand again. So
a sound point about that, actually, because I would be... That's what I found so wild, that I was used to these, I DJ in front of a lot of people. Like, it's kind of like the shows I was doing in the summer were 10,000 people and all these flashing lights and all this noise, but I'd feel in my element, and I'd be at home in my kitchen with my baby. And then my husband was talking to me, but there was a pot of water boiling and the radio on. I was like, oh, I'm so overstimulated. Like, stop something, like turn the water off or turn the radio. Like, I can only do like one thing at a time, because your body is taught to be on high alert to keep this little thing alive, right? And to do the best at helping them thrive and grow. And I found that really disorientating. And as far as sound, I think that's important to acknowledge that. And that's okay. Because sometimes my house would be in utter silence, but actually that was perfect and that was enough. Or just, going outside and being like, oh my goodness, the sound of a bird or the sound of a bee. So soothing, so good for the soul. Yeah. Just take on, in a sensory element, what you can manage in that moment.
Oh, nature, please. We can talk about that for hours. Nature as a healing tool has all the sounds that you could possibly need. The leaves rustling. I mean, the kids love it as well, like going out with them. It's just, everything is like, wow.
If you've got a cranky baby, take it out somewhere to see a horizon, and it's instantly soothing and instantly calming for the nervous system. So mummy and baby, there's a reason why we're all trudging around on these endless walks, but it works.
If you just have a little, you have those little nods, don't you, to mums that you walk past, you're like, I know what you're doing. I'm doing it too. It's like a shared collective understanding. Oh, that's
mummy mafia.
And we talk about it being ancient. I've just put down here. It is like a remembering, and like taking it back outside. It's those simple things. We are moving at such a rate. How do we? I guess now is the chance to ask: is how do we bring that sense of power of healing into our day to day? So you talked about nature. How would you sort of gently encourage mums or mothers to be to embrace sound, meditation, healing, even if they're a little bit skeptical or they're not sure quite what to expect? I mean, can you give us kind of an insight of what it might entail to coming, let's say, to one of your sound baths? Would be lovely.
So I think there's two bits to that. So first of all, every mummy's different, and you will find comfort and solace and a little bit of sense of normality or routine or your new normal, or however you want to term it, in something that will really resonate with you personally. For me, I became obsessed with ritual, and I found it really deeply, deeply comforting to feel that certain things have been done for thousands and thousands of years before, and there were other mums doing it at the same time as me. So just like those 3 a.m. feeds, right? And you'd look out and you'd be looking at the moon and you'd be feeding your baby and just thinking of all the other mums that were doing exactly the same thing at the same time, and sort of like giving a little prayer to the moon. And it does sound quite hippie and a little bit bohemian, but gosh, it brought me so much comfort. And I'm actually, I'm working on a book at the moment.
Oh, yes, tell us more.
About exactly that, about ritual in the everyday. And if someone as jaded as old DJ me can really lean into the old ways and the old traditions. And this can be anything from sort of like foraging herbs to learning about the moon to something like a closing of the bones ceremony. I did this gorgeous maiden to mother ceremony. I really found marking these moments with something tangible, something physical, even if it was just me and a teacher. They helped me make sense of everything. I think in the UK, we're not very good at that. You might have a baby shower, which is actually all about a baby. Like, guess the size of the bump and here's some muslins. And like, how about the mum?
Yes.
You know, and where's the ritual? And then you have your baby and then you're like, out you go, good luck. And I think marking these moments, marking the end of the 4th trimester, like marking, we did a naming day for Rex rather than a traditional christening. And it's like, but marking these key moments on his first birthday. So we've got this gorgeous apple tree in our garden, and we buried the placenta, Rex's placenta, in the apple tree. My husband put loads of rocks on it so the foxes didn't get it. Can you imagine? Just this placenta all over the garden.
We wrapped it in a beautiful.
Oh yeah, you did a beautiful job.
We made sure it was safe.
Yeah, it was gorgeous, and flowers and herbs, but it was a real ceremony to it, and we did it with Rex. And then on his first birthday, the apples from the tree, we made like an applesauce and baked it into his birthday cake. So there's just this cycle of life, this surrender, this noting that we all come and we all pass as well. It was really, and I mean, I almost died having Rex. So it was kind of like, it was a really significant moment and time. And it was just, made sense of it all.
It's that whole cyclical nature. We talked about the spiraling of like birth and rebirth and death, and it's, in essence, we're doing it all the time as women. If you think about it on a monthly basis, on lunar tide, we are having that same feeling of shedding and release, and then we're coming back again in a different form of ourselves. And I love to hold on to that nature that women are shapeshifters and that we can move with the time. And, you know, how is it that we've been friends 20, you know, we don't even know, because we're always moving, we're always evolving. And I think having that, like exactly like you say, that punctuation of these little moments that you can look back on and you feel like you've grasped them, because it goes so quickly. I mean, it's such a cliche, but it goes so fast. And if we haven't kind of, and also sharing it, like, I mean, how wonderful that we were there together. You know, it's a privilege, you know, to have been at that point. And I'll always remember that. And we'll always remember it together, and then we can always have something to talk about. And I think in motherhood, it's so important to be witnessed and to be seen at every point. And so I'm just really grateful that we can now do that together, which is really special. And I wondered if you could recall perhaps a specific moment, just bringing it back to the sound, of where sound for you personally has been like, I know you talked about at the beginning, obviously, it being the way to lead you back to yourself, but how have you really, has there been a particular song or music, or, I don't know, when you've really felt that it's kind of helped you?
So I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this question for days, Amy, like, because music is so important to me. It's like, it's everything. And it just shapes my days so intensely. And I think I'm so acutely aware of sound and overstimulated by sound.
Don't go on Desert Island Disc, will you?
Yeah.
You'll never.
So I just remember, so when we brought Rex back from the hospital, and because we'd mucked stuff about, and the classic, my husband hadn't fitted the car seat properly, so we were so late getting home, and as we got home, he was getting really hungry. And I didn't want to walk into the house, because I've got 2 cats who I really, really love. And I didn't want to walk in with this crying baby, because I didn't want to frighten the cats. I wanted it to be a really lovely meeting. And so we'd pumped some milk at the hospital, and I still hadn't quite managed that. And my husband's like, I'll go and warm up the milk, and then we can feed him in the car. So we bring him in being calm, so the cats aren't frightened. And I mean, if someone had seen us on the road, because basically my husband just went in and I was just in the back seat of this locked car with a howling baby, and it was a full moon. and I was just so panicked. I was like, what do I do to soothe this baby? And all I could remember was Bob Marley, 3 Little Birds. Oh. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing gonna be all right. And I just sang it over and over and over, and it did soothe him. But still now, that's Rex's lullaby. Oh, I remembered in that moment, I didn't know any lullabies or nursery rhymes or anything like that. Nothing maternal, but I did know Bob Marley. And so Rex has been brought up on a diet of Bob Marley.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, thank you. And I guess it did bring it back to you. How lovely. Don't worry about a thing. You're doing good, Mama. You are doing good. I mean, we've only just scratched the surface, but I mean, I could talk to you for hours, as you know, and we always do. But I'm just so grateful for all this insight. But I do want to ask you about this little project that you've got going on at this incredible space on D'Oyly Carte Island.
Yes.
So if you want to share just a little bit about what you've got coming up, that would be amazing. And maybe where mums to be can find you. For,
absolutely. So all my work with sound meditation, sound therapy is under the banner IO Project. IO Project HQ across all internet-based activities. And in Weybridge, Surrey, there is this incredible island called D'Oyly Carte Island. It was founded by Mr. D'Oyly Carte, who created the Savoy Hotel and Theatre. So it is the most decadent island. It was created as a place of escapism and bohemia and indulgence. And they used to throw the most roaring 1920s Great Gatsby style parties. So it is literally just this floating island. You can only access it by boat or footbridge. Wow. And IO Project are going to be curating a number of immersive wellness experiences for them this summer. So we'll be doing everything from cacao ceremonies to disco yoga, Pilates in the ballroom, gong baths under the stars, like breath work, forest bathing, just all these gorgeous, lovely experiences that make your soul sing. And we'd love you to come.
Thank you. I'll be there at some point, I'm sure.
And we're going to be doing loads of really lovely things for mummies and babies, from postnatal yoga, mini sound baths for babies, postnatal Pilates, postnatal breathwork sessions specifically for new mamas to help regulate your nervous systems. These wildlings picnics where you come with babies and toddlers, Peter Pan themed, and it's all just loads of really gorgeous, lovely, heartfelt experiences. So come join us.
Thank you. Oh gosh, I will be there. And it's so, this well-being element, I know we think it's kind of a new thing, but like you say, there's been cultures in the West and the East have been doing it for years, and it is practice. It's a day-to-day, whereas we feel like it's such a luxury or a nice to have. And I think a lot of new mums feel like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or maybe I'll just focus on the baby and we'll do all these sensory experiences with the baby and all these classes. And actually, your baby will be fine. But if you're not feeling like you, or if you're not feeling 100%, it will impact you in your mothering. And so these things are just, honestly, they're just gold for new mums, I think. And even mums to be, to really start to tune in and connect with your baby and bond. And so you're offering something so special. So thank you, Sam. And we'll finish off today. So every episode I ask my guests what gift they would give a new mama or anyone on this pregnancy path. And I just wondered if you could share just one last nugget of wisdom with us.
What gift would I give a new mama?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's a really good question.
I mean, they need loads. So.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'm going to bring a whole pile.
A cook prescription, loads of lasagnas in the freezer.
Yes.
No, I would give a new mama the gift of ritual, and I would, because I really think carving out your own rituals, or someone holding space for a new mama to help her have a ritual to process this experience is gold. And exactly what you said, coming back to you as a soul, as a woman, as a person having a human experience, and you and your baby are intertwined, but unless you are feeling whole and a sense of yourself, and it is kind of like this delirious time where time bends, but it's the happier and more joyful you feel within yourself, even if you look hideous and are exhausted, but still feeling joyful, it radiates out. And it's all about, that's what IO Project stands for, input, output. It's all about the cycle of interaction and love, and what we give comes back to us. And that is so sure of that mummy baby relationship.
That is the most perfect gift, and one that I wholeheartedly believe too. So thank you so much, Sam, for joining us today, and I really hope that our conversation has resonated with you all listening and watching. And if you've got anything you wish to share, please do. It's so lovely to hear from you, and that's all there is to it. Thank you so much. We'll see you again next time, and remember that everything you know, you'll know by heart, and whatever's left, you'll have within.